Investing in real estate with pre-construction condos, make sure you stay tuned to this episode of Prime Properties TV, where I'll be showing you what to watch out for so you can protect your investment. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. We're so glad you could join us for another episode. Today we'll be continuing our discussion on pre-construction condos. This episode, however, will be getting into the nitty-gritties of the process and what to watch out for if you are moving forward with a pre-construction investment. Hopefully this episode can save you a lot of money when you decide to go forward with your pre-construction investment. As usual, before we get started, if you want to know the pros and the cons of the pre-construction condo, make sure you check out the previous episode where I'll put it into the description. And before we begin, a lot of today's topics will be numbers related. So I'm going to be going over how pre-construction condo is bought and then financed as a difference from a resale condo. Specifically, what to watch out for. Now, I won't be talking about any return on investment because, as you know, there's no way to really predict that. Everyone will have an educated guess, but until it's completed and you sell it or rent it, there's really no way to find out. Now, I'm tackling this from an investor's perspective. If you plan to live in the unit when it's complete, yes, this information can still apply for you, but not always, all right? Now, remember, whether you work with a realtor or not, these are things you should definitely watch out for. However, I do recommend everyone work with a realtor to protect their best interest and save money with special discounts or how to identify hidden buying opportunities. Remember, the sales rep at the sales center in pre-construction condos does not represent you. They represent the builder and their best interest, so not you. So make sure you're going with someone who is looking out for your best interest. So this is how we're going to do the process first, the payment schedule. Number one, when you decide that you're going to go forward with buying a pre-construction condo, typically you'll run into a payment schedule that something goes like this, okay? Number one, a certain amount of money is usually used, less than 5% upon your offer to buy the condo. And remember, it's still an offer. It's not like a retail store. You go in there, there's a set price. You can still make an offer. Now, the balance of the remaining of the 5% is due in 30 days. Then you have another 5% that's due in 90 days. So you have 3 months with a total of 10%. Then another 5% is due in 6 months or 180 days, and now you're at 15%. And then the last 5% is due at occupancy, and this is when you get your keys. And this will totally tally up to 20%, which is roughly a down payment on the regular resale. Now, occupancy generally is much further out than the first 6 months when you buy it, and this also depends on when you buy and what phase of construction they're in. The difference between occupancy and possession, this is a technical term a lot of people misunderstood. That's why I want to clarify this. Occupancy is when you move into the unit. You can live there, you could rent it out, you can walk around in the unit. Possession is when you legally own the unit. This means when you're on title for the unit and when you can start paying your mortgage amounts. Here's a fun fact. This whole process is used so that the developer can actually collect money initially to go to the bank to actually finance the entire project, such as construction and carrying costs while the unit's being built. Number two, cooling off period. This varies from province to province in Canada, but in Ontario, Southern Ontario, generally we have 10 days. This is basically like oh crap, did I really just buy that? If you do have buyer's regret, you have up to 10 days to return it. 3, occupancy fees. Key point here, this comes before closing. Remember, you generally get the keys to the unit before you are on title. Occupancy before possession usually. This is where the dreaded phantom rent comes into play. Phantom rent is a term that's used on basically the street for when a buyer has to pay the builder's taxes, realty taxes, maintenance fees of the unit, and insurance. And now in the term we use is TMI. It's not too much information. This phantom rent can add up to anywhere, depending on when you purchased it, up to 1 month of the market rent. That's a lot of money. And this is a key component of why so many people get sandbagged blindly. The phantom rent you are paying does not, and I repeat, does not contribute to your mortgage payments. You can only get a mortgage when you legally own the unit, meaning in possession. And during occupancy, you are not on title. This phantom rent is an out-of-pocket expense, and that's why so many people actually rent out their units once they get the keys. which actually has HST repercussions, which I'll talk about shortly. 4, closing costs. Now you're about to be the legal owner of the unit. Closing day. Usually I recommend my clients have about 5% of the total purchase cost for closing, in addition to standard closing costs like land transfer fees. Now you can watch a video that I'll put in the description below about closing costs and the additional fees that can come up. But however, different from resale, some things you should watch out for in closing is home warranty plan. Number 1. Generally, you have to pay upwards of $1,200 to register your warranty with Tarion. 2, utility hookup fees. Just to get electricity in the unit can cost you like $500 to get it up and going. 3, special assessments. If there are any major repairs that happen during the condo building process, the builder can actually pass on their proportionate share to you, so watch out for that. 4, assignment fees. Assignment is basically when you're selling the contract. Remember I put in other videos. If you decide to sell before closing, make sure you have this negotiated into your contract initially. Sometimes you can't even get it if you don't get it negotiated, but if you do, it can be upwards of 1%. On a $300,000 condo, that's $3,000 to sell the contract. That's going to eat into your margin. So this is why you need a good realtor to guide you through this process. 5, development and education levies can be upward of $7,500. Initially in your contract, I highly recommend you cap that. Otherwise, you're going to be paying through the nose for these community fees that the developer and the builder actually has to pay. Again, get a good realtor to represent you. Next, HST rebate. Your initial price, you see the sticker price that the builder advertises actually includes what we call the HST rebate. Now, the builder assumes you're going to live in the unit, but 90% of the time, let's be real, it's generally an investment and no, that person's not living in it. This can be problematic because investors do not qualify for this HST rebate. So therefore, on closing, the builder has to charge them for this HST rebate. So if you're going to live in it, ignore this section. But if you're not, this is a huge amount of money, so beware. The HST portion can be upwards of 5% of the purchase price. On a $300,000 investment, that's an additional $15,000 of closing you have to front up right away. There is a lawyer's website I go to when I consult for HST to make sure. I'll put it in the description below for you guys to read it. But generally, as a rule of thumb, if you're an investor and you buy something that's less than $450,000, you should be okay to get that rebate back in full. However, granted you're getting money back from the government, that could take quite some time. And the fact that you still have to pay it out of pocket when you close. So that's still money you have to find to close. Now here's some closing remarks, pun intended. There's major money to be made when you can sell the contract to the unit, especially if it's to someone that plans to live in there closer to the closing date. Now there are strategies around that, so make sure you reach out and contact me on how to learn more about that. Now, thank you guys for watching. If you learned something about this video or simply enjoy watching it, make sure you subscribe to Prime Properties TO and click on the little bell so you know when we put new content out to continue your real estate education with the other videos on our channel. If you have any questions or any concerns, you can feel free to contact and email me or write in the comment section below, and our team will do our best to get back to you. Remember, make sure you share this video with your family and friends because an educated consumer is the best consumer. I'll see you next time, Toronto.